All right, so we're going to be covering customer service, help desk, FAQ, knowledge base, and AI integration. So let's dive in. So customer service. We all know what customer service is, right? We've all been to a store. We all deal with people. We've been on hopefully either both ends, right? Dealing with happy people, dealing with angry people. I got stories of angry people, and how I like to view customer service is depending where you work or where your position is. When you're providing customer service, right, you are the face of that company. You represent them. You are identified as that division. Does that make sense? So if I go out to help somebody and I'm part of the IT team, I represent the IT team. So you want to provide the best services possible and things like that. So IT services typically view the service in terms of applications and infrastructure. It also applies to it has applications and infrastructure as well. That's true, but it also applies to problem resolution. That's obviously a big one. That's usually what you deal with a lot with customers because things don't work, things aren't going the way they need it, or maybe the project isn't where they want it to be, and you have to figure out how to make them happy or come to a compromise. So customers, on the other hand, view the service in terms of outage outcomes and usage. Right, that's how customers always view it. Well, you're not meeting my needs, blah 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 blah. It's not meeting what I'm paying you for, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's see here. Wow. So 5 keys to customer service. Communication, that's a big thing. Dealing with people is can be pretty hard at times, right? How many of you are the default technical support person for the family? If it's plugged into the wall now, somehow it's your responsibility, right? Oh, the fridge isn't working. Oh, the toaster isn't working. Oh, the television's off the fritz. Somehow now it's your responsibility, right? You have to fix it, even though you're like, dude, I don't even work on those things or touch those things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a big part of it. And what I'm getting at is they'll try to just tell you like what the problem is, and they'll communicate as best they can. Because let's face it, yes, printers are not computers. That's very true. And so, um, people don't get too technical, right? Have you guys ever had like vague things that aren't working? They're like, well, it isn't working. Well, in what way? Well, it just isn't working. That's wonderful. But what does that have to do with me fixing it? If you can't give me detailed information, then you're just poking and poking and poking, and people get more irate, right? How many of you ever had to deal with someone that's angry because a piece of technology isn't working, and they almost want to take the frustration out on you? Have you guys ever had to deal with that? It's not pretty. It's not fun. I'll be honest. Anybody? No. I'm sure Vensa has it. He can probably relate when I'm saying that. Um, yeah. Normally, what I do when I have someone that's really irate or upset because they clicked the wrong thing, their screen is now rotated, the other screen isn't working, whatever the issue may be. I reiterate their problem to them in simpler terms so they understand I get it. And that usually helps defuse the situation. You kind of have to learn how to, yeah, that's possible too. You could say that. I try not to be as snarky, even though it's back of my head somewhere, because let's face it, when you're dealing with I don't think on fires, right? Because there's a million things happening half the time. When you're running all over the place and just people try to grab you as you're flagging you down, you gotta be like, hey, give me a minute, I'm working on this, blah, blah, blah. I'll admit it, I'm human, believe it or not. I forget things. Yeah, that's something that's totally out of your control when that happens. But they expect you to be able to fix it. That's the thing. So let me segue back into here. So accuracy, that's what I'm talking about. Communication must be accurate. The information shared must be valid, verifiable, and usable. So normally what that means is when you're dealing with the person, be it you're remoted in, you're in person, you should tell them, hey, I'm doing this, I'm working on this, give me a minute, it'll be doing this next so you can prepare them. Sometimes a simple restart will fix it. I get a request like probably 9 times out of 10 during the week, or hey, my wireless keyboard stopped responding. It's like, dude, just restart it. Oh, but I'm working. Let's say which we're going to restart it, it'll come back up. They do it. They're like, oh, you're a miracle worker. I'm like, no, I just literally told you to restart your computer. And then if you were to check what's called the uptime, they've been up for like 40 hours. So relevance, communication must be relevant to the need at hand. Yeah, it's what you're just explaining that, hey, you got to do this step to fix this step. It's all a process, right? Everything's a checklist when it comes to fixing things. Have you tried this? Have you done that? Have you gone through this? When was the last time you did this? What else has it been doing? It's like going to the doctor, right? You just don't go to the doctor and say, hey, my arm hurts. Here's your pills and your sling, go, go away and you'll be fine. No, they got to run tests, got to run a diagnostic on your arm. Can you lift your arm? Can you not lift your arm? They ask you all these questions. It's similar to that. So also this has to do with responsiveness. Communication must be responsive. Normally for me, communication is like back and forth. There's a two-way street. They're talking to them, I'm talking to them, once it's fixed, that fixed it, not okay. Let's try this. So responsive in the sense of listening, yeah, you're going to be listening to them. When they say, well, it worked yesterday, but it stopped working after this. So if they say something like that, okay, what were you doing before that? Back and forth. And timeliness. Communication must be timely and consistent. Well, you're doing that if you're in person, or even if you're on the phone, you're talking to them right then and there. So you're helping them. So in terms of the timeliness and no gaps, it's kind of more referring to I get it where I get work orders, right? And there's some days I can't do everything and I leave it for the next morning. And like I'll put a ticket in saying, or I'll put a reply in the work order saying, hey, I received a request. I'm looking into it usually, or hey, I'll contact you tomorrow. And they're okay with it. You can't solve all the problems you get right away either, right? We're all human. We don't know everything. It happens. And you gotta be professional about it. That's why I said don't be snarky. Communication must always be professional and courteous, whether verbal or written. I don't personally, I'd rather get up out of my desk, go walk and meet with the person and talk with them. This way they feel more connected to you in that sense. And sometimes they'll give you cookies and or candy, and then they know they can go to you when they need something, and they're more calm about it. So that kind of happens to me a lot more than I care to admit. Like if I get a request from someone, they know it's me. They're like, oh, he'll call me like this day. They're happy, they're fine, they're good with it. So yeah, customer service is pretty big and pretty important. You're not going to go like explaining how RAM works to somebody that really doesn't use a computer that often. They're going to look at you like, huh? It's like you're talking this whole foreign language, right? For you, it's like, oh, it's zeros and ones, and they're like, what does that have to do with my computer not loading Chrome or Chrome being too slow? Then just playing RAM's a highway, blah 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 blah, and then go from there. Use rush hour like as a metaphor for things going opening north and south or whatever, east to west, whatever helps you make them break it down and understand it. So follow through. Follow through is pretty important. What do you mean follow through? So even though I'm done with whatever issue the person had, is they normally receive what's called a survey, or they receive an email saying it was closed. They usually reply to it, yes, that was great. Or if it's like a big issue, I remember once we had an issue, it took me like 6 months to track down because it was this really weird Adobe issue where Adobe would um, not do what it needed to do. If you went to the sign function, you would go start the signs function, then you would sign as a signature, okay? Not sign as a meth. And then it would go from there to the next one where you pick an email that you need to send it to you, click on the box where you want them to sign, then it would send. But it would lock up trying to pick the email. And we had that issue floating for like 6 months. It took a ton of research. What it wound up being is I think we had to uncheck something inside deep, deep in Adobe in the computer itself to not check a certain area that wasn't online. And that's what's causing the hang up. But it took like 6 months to figure it out. And the whole time I'm like, hey, working on it. Hey, give me a bit. Hey, let's try this. And it just started like, it's gonna take a while. I'm a one-man show when it comes to this thing for Adobe. So give me a bit. And the person was cool with it. She understood. And as long as I was trying, they were happy. And they know like we were working on it because they could use the web version where they would sign in and they could still do the sign, but they want to do it from the computer. So it's kind of things like that. Sometimes the simplest requests also have the hardest back end solutions. Just because you can check off a box to enable a function on a printer on their end and it looks easy, sometimes you have to go into the printer itself on the network and just configure a bunch of stuff in it just to make it work. So they don't see that, and when you explain it to them, like, hey, sometimes I literally say that like, you can request something simple, but on our end, it's something crazy. We got to do a bunch of different hoops and loops. They're like, oh, okay, that's why it takes a while. I'm like, yeah, it's not instant. So to provide service, yeah, printers can be the bane of your existence. To provide service-oriented IT follow-through must be institutionalized as a regular part of the IT service encounter. So it's just you make it part of your culture essentially. And I don't mean culture as like how culture is defined in anthropology is passed on from one generation to the next. This is no more part of your work culture. That makes some sense. You learn that on the job. Follow through is listened in the IT department takes the contact news to provide status information and seek it. Yeah, that's just you reaching out and telling them, hey, it's working, or hey, did it go good? For example, follow through is essential to report the status of service tickets, to seek satisfaction with services provided, to gather more information as may be needed to fulfill service requests, to provide answers to how-to questions. Yeah, and you get a lot of that. So yeah, you got to reach out, right? Because it can be vague. Have you guys ever had a vague issue you had to deal with? You're like, dude, I need more info. You can't just, oh, well, it isn't working. Well, what isn't working? I get calls like that from my family all the time. Hey, the computer isn't working. "Oh, okay. Well, what do you mean it isn't working? Oh, it won't connect to so and so. Or it can't see my printer. I'm like, is it on? 9 times out of 10, is it on? That should be your first question. I've had people swear and jump up and down that it's on, it's on, it's on. So for me just to go over like halfway across the city, hit a power button and come back and be like, well, that could have saved me 15 minutes of my life. So you kind of run into things like that. But again, Not everyone's tech savvy as all of you are in here. Just keep that in mind. And I'm not saying that to be mean. Okay. Quick question. How many of you get cell phones thrown at you all the time? Hey, it isn't working. Hey, it isn't doing this. Hey, it isn't doing that. I'm all like, well, I'm not a cell phone technician. Like, what the hell? I get that a lot too. I'm like, you fix cell phones? I'm like, no, I don't fix cell phones. Cell phones aren't my thing. So you run into, again, if it's technology related, somehow it's now your wheelhouse. That makes you scratch your head like, no. So what's a help desk? They answer, they do things, they assign work orders. That's what a help desk is. So the first point of contact. So it's who they reach out to via email, they can call, they can even chat now too. I think some of them even use AI. They're integrated now where they can type the question in and then they'll just generate a work order and send it out. So for on our end where I work, our help desk is manned by one person only, and there's a rotator for his lunch. Like someone comes and steps in and he steps out. But it's very high paced, but it comes in waves. So what I mean, so usually how it starts is we start getting a lot of work orders. That's what I call them. They're tickets, whatever you want to call them, tickets, work orders, incidents, requests, whatever. They're all the same deal. Still your job, right? So we normally start getting them around 7:30-ish, 8, and my shift is usually 7:30 to 4:30 every day. But it kind of starts Monday's the busiest day, right? It's the first day of the week, everyone's coming back to the office. Tuesday's still kind of busy. And Wednesday starts to slow down. Thursday's kind of dead. And Friday is super dead because everyone's trying to take off earlier, do what they need to do. Where I work, everyone leaves at noon except my department because we have to be there to do a bunch of upgrades or install things. And when no one's there past 12 in the afternoon, you have all the time in the world to work whenever you need because no one's there to interrupt you. So just things like that. So help desk itself, like I said, it's the first point of contact. It's intake. So they do what's called triage. So they have to figure out, when did this happen? How long has it been happening for? How many people was it affecting? Then they have to figure out, okay, what kind of issue is it? Is it a desktop issue, a network issue? Is it a server related issue on our end? Like, was our print server not functioning correctly, so the printer isn't working? Is the printer, I'm using printer as an example, is the printer just malfunctioning locally? Is the computer just driver full of just junk? Is the spool full? It can be anything like that. So then they have to, kind of de-escalate and tell them, okay, try this and this, that didn't work. They're usually the ones offering the first level of advice to try and figure it out and see if they can get it working. If not, once you do all these steps and go to problem diagnosis where they identify, I can't resolve this in the first 10, 15 minutes, they issue a work order, ticket, whatever you want to call it, and they send it to a technician. They send it to me. Depending on the level of severity, it can be level 1, 2, or 3. So one's usually my wheelhouse because that's mostly dealing with break fix, network, and staff related issues and some student issues. The level 2 deals with everything in between and student issues. The level 3 is mostly servers, staff issues, deep like configuration issues, and printer server issues. So it kind of breaks it like that. So this all support, yeah, that's kind of where I step in at that point. And they kind of say, hey, we got this, and no one's available from this time to this time. Then you schedule it and go from there. So that's how help this works. But do I have pictures of it in here? No, I don't. But there's a formula associated with this. I think I have it in here. I'll check. So first call or ticket resolution, yeah, that's again, they're the first ones to triage. They're the ones who are going to figure it out and try to figure it out. If they can't, they hand it off. So important. It has a customer experience, reduces cost, and boosts agent productivity. So the formula is there. So total tickets resolved on first contact times 100. Example, resolving 80 out of 100 tickets means 8% of it is FCR. I think ours is 60. They can usually solve it with first point of contact 60% of the time, which isn't bad for my area because it's a big campus and it's not one school. It's like three. It's like a main school, a sister school, an adult non-education site, plus a bunch of satellite sites on top of all this. So we're all split differently, including child development, which is completely separate. It's still on our campus, but it's technically a separate area. So there's one, two, three, about five child development sites. How many offsites did we count? It's like 12 to 20 offsites, including the jail, which I usually take care of. Yes, I go to jail. I can say that. It's kind of weird. And there's no network there. So it's like leave your phone in the car and then you come out and if it's like 3 in the afternoon, you're like, oh crap, should have had lunch. Um, and it's a little different in that area, but where else do we have programs? Trying to think of my offsites. Yeah, it's around 20 because there's a bunch of education centers we also have and senior centers where they're offering classes. So we have to take care of the technology in there as well. Networking gets a little difficult because now it's a wide area network because you're dealing with things across the city versus just across your districts, which is usually like technically like closer in terms of networking. So just thinking off the top of my head. So These are metrics they usually just use for help desk success measurement. So ticket volume represents the total number of support tickets created over a specific amount of time. So it, like I said, usually beginning of semesters are busy. In the mornings is pretty busy, but now since we're like past the eighth week, right, we're almost done with the semester here in Merced and also where I work. So it's starting to really wind down. It's busy for me like Monday to Wednesday-ish, Thursday sometimes, and it dies down by like 1 p.m. After that, it's just do your inventory, fix other things that have been pending. You can kind of work on more projects, so it even flow. But when it's like the first week of the semester, forget it. You're not gonna like be in your office for more than 5 minutes in the morning. Then you're out running around all day till like 3. Then you can take a lunch, and that's usually the first 3 weeks of every semester, if not a month. So that's kind of how it goes. So, by ticket volume, it's helped them understand and determine the trend to optimize staffing and resource allocations. Like, we're busy in the morning, we have more people in the morning. Then there's like one night guy, usually per site, and they're there from like, generally they start like 2 to like 10 p.m. and they only work 4 days a week, but that's their choice. Identify patterns or seasonal spikes. Yeah, for us, like I said, beginning of the semesters are usually pretty busy. Evaluate support procedures and team performance. Yeah, they use this metric usually to count, see how many tickets you do versus everybody else, who's more efficient, who isn't, things like that. So let's go on. So by channel, there's a bunch of ways to break it down. Breaks down ticket volume across communication channels. Do you get most by email, phone, chat? Are they submitted online? Things like that. So benefits. You understand customer preferences for support methods. So for us, since we implemented a new system, we're kind of trying to wean people off from calling now, and then they have to just submit it either via email or a web portal where they just enter all the information, and then they don't even talk to anybody. And then they can either be, again, either they can triage it then and there when help desk receives it. They can send them back all the information what they should try. If they can't fix it, then they send it to one of us to fix. And we can go from there. So optimize resource allocation per channel, tailor support strategies to trends. Yeah, like email see 60% of the 500 monthly tickets, indicated preference for email support, so you can slowly phase out phone support, things like that. But some people, but some people are remember guys, some people aren't tech savvy, right? Some people can barely work a cell phone. I'm not trying to insult anybody, okay? Please don't see it that way. But you gotta be real. Some people just prefer to call and talk to a live person, right? How many places have you guys called now for customer service and it's freaking a robot or AI? Like 9 times out of 10 now, if I call the bank, it's like I'm not even talking to somebody anymore. I have to press zero, I have to get through a bunch of prompts, and eventually I may reach somebody. Maybe I won't. So it just depends. Pardon me. So then you have tickets open versus resolved. Compares the number of tickets. Yeah, we all tend to kind of do that sometimes, don't we, George? So compares the number of tickets open to those resolved in a given frame. So that's the big metric. It's like how many tickets do you have left open? If you have 6 open and 20 resolved, you're fine. You can't fix everything overnight. Some things take time. You just inform the people or user you're working on it. So why do they monitor that? It assesses team capacity and efficiency. It identifies and prevent backlogs rather. Optimizes resource possession resolution processes, resolving 180 tickets out of 200 results in 90% efficiency rate. You're never going to be 100% efficient. Face it. There's always going to be tickets hanging around or work orders hanging around. You just can't solve right away. Things take time. You got to figure out and just let them know you're working on it. And that's how it goes. Then you have to figure out distribution metrics. Maybe. Analyze support tickets by issue and category type. Insight. Understand common customer issues to prioritize resources. So let's say one of the biggest issues you run into is people don't know how to turn on their computer. It's just an example. You could either, I don't know, send an email out explaining how to do it, send a video out, like if you record it and put it on YouTube explaining how to do it, things like that. So identifies knowledge base or training gaps. Yeah, that's where you can also train them how to turn on a computer, hypothetically, or knowledge base. You can make an article. That's what part of being a knowledge base is a collection of. Being sleepy. A knowledge base is just a big collection of articles that you've made or have, and then you can just send them a link to it and it saves you time. That's kind of where AI helps, and I'll explain in a minute. And I don't mean for writing. So you can balance workload amongst agents to prevent burnout. Yeah. So for example, I get burned out more than I care to admit. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I get a bulk of the work orders most of the time, and I feel like some of my coworkers don't get any, and it's like, what the hell? So it's things like that that you kind of have to figure out. Like, are you going to give one person 50, the other one gets two? No, you got to be fair, 25, 25, and see who does how many, yada, yada, yada. You can compare the metrics and say, okay, this guy has to get more, this guy has to get less, and vice versa. We're like a team of 12 with different tiers. So it's things like that. Response time. Pardon me. This response time It's usually like the moment I see it, I respond or I go. So that can kind of wane. But in reality, response time is up to 72 hours, as they even stated, but people expect to be helped within the first 5 seconds. Again, now that we have SSDs, right? We're so impatient if our computer takes more than 10 seconds to turn on. We're like, what the hell? So, improves customer satisfaction with prompt responses, manage expectations for resolution timelines, identifies inefficiency in resource allocation. Explain example. Respond in 15 minutes to a 10 a.m. inquiry demonstrates attentiveness. Yeah, well, always gotta be attentive. It's kind of your job in that sense. Yeah, let's keep measuring success here. So, resolution time measures the time it takes to complete resolve a customer issue, ensures efficient issue resolution, highlights areas for process improvement. Yeah, like I said, if things take 6 months because it's just a big thing. You'll realize that should have been a project. You can rope more people in down the line and just you learn that as you go. Affects customer satisfaction directly. Formula resolution time equals total resolution time divided by number of tickets resolved. You get an average out of it. So if you're, let's say your average is or resolution time is normally like an hour, let's say 60 minutes, right? You divide that by like let's say 150 tickets. That's on average how much you would get per time that it takes to resolve something. So backlogs and predicted backlogs tracks unresolved tickets and forecasts future workload based on trends. Why it's important prevents overwhelming the team. Ensures balanced workload and timely resolutions. Practically allocates resources to avoid bottlenecks. So there's always going to be a backlog too. Like you can't solve everything. Like I said, sometimes issues are just too complex. And for example, we're having an issue right now because our phone system got upgraded to all. We lost all landline. I forget what they were calling it. We're all running on a different kind of network line now. And all the phone calls we get that come in, half of them still run on the old landline system. You guys know what landlines are, right? Telephone line went from pole to pole. And at the back of the day, you had a rotary phone at home. They turn dials and all that. And we'll call. Well, a lot of places still provide phone services, haven't upgraded their backend equipment because it's expensive and it's not compatible with newer systems. So we're getting a lot of drop calls, and there's nothing our network team can do about it because, like, hey, the issue isn't on our end. Our stuff's updated and running. Their old hardware at whoever the provider is hasn't upgraded. What do you want us to do? So it's things like that. So that would be a backlog issue. It's like it is what it is. Do the best that you can. So then there's customer service ratings. Measure satisfaction with support services via surveys. This is usually given out at the end of every work order. It just asks, hey, take the short, like 3 question survey, provides actionable feedback, identifies area for improvement, and has customer loyalty and brand reputation. Example of 80 out of 100 responses are satisfied, then your customer service satisfaction is 8%. So I don't even know what our numbers at, to be frank. I've never been told, but I haven't heard anything bad. So I guess people are happy. Let's keep going. Support agent performance evaluates agent based on metrics like resolution time, ticket volume, and customer service satisfaction service, essentially. Identifies high performers, training needs, maintains constant service standards, ensure team productivity and cohesiveness. That's all that's for. They use it more of as a review metric too. You get your annual or every 3 year reviews for me, which I haven't had now that I think about it in over 4 years. So I guess I'm okay. Customer effort score, it's just a bunch of other stuff. Accesses the ease of issues resolution for customers. Importance, lower score reflects smoother experience. So how easy is it for the person to get their issue resolved? Should be usually pretty simple. Highlight areas to streamline support processes, enhances overall user satisfaction. So we're getting there, guys. Don't worry. Sorry, just checking my phone for the time. So, transfer rate measures the percentage of tickets escalate to higher support levels. So, yeah, I can kick a ticket up to level 2, level 3, depending on what it is. A lot of my printer issues aren't the printers themselves. Usually, it winds up being that the network queue that they built for it, the driver needs to be updated, and I don't have access to that because they won't give it to me. So, I got to kick it up to a level 3 and be like, hey, update your driver. It's not working. It's printing out gobbledygook. Uh, they have to, sorry guys, they have to do that. And then once they tell me it's done, then I have to remove the printer, we have the printer for the user, and that usually resolves it. So higher rates indicate ineffectiveness or training gaps. It's not really technically true. It also depends on the level the person is and what they deal with. Lower rates reflect effective issue resolution at first contact, optimize training and documentation, and reduce escalation. Example, 30 escalations out of 100 tickets results in a 30% transfer rate. I don't even know what our number is. Our numbers are high for tickets. I don't even know what we divide by, to be frank. So that's how that usually goes. So, what is a ticketing system? We already talked about it. Ticketing system is a software, the tool that helps business manage and resolve customer support requests. How it works: when a customer contacts a business, which you've heard me mention, the ticketing system automatically creates a ticket to record the request. The ticket indicates details like the customer information, the problem description, and the priority level. System then assigns the ticket to a support team member to resolve. Right, that's what I kind of get. Let me pull up my browser. Let me bring up my old work order system here. It's easier to show. That's why I'm doing it. So if I go into tickets, these are just really old tickets. Don't worry, these things are ancient. This thing hasn't been sunsetted. I don't know why. So when they usually call, this is what it looks like. The old one would look like. Or the person on the other end would pick this new ticket. So let me do this. Let me grab my coworker's information here. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah. So I had to dig. So for example, I picked his name because he just fills everything. All this gets filled out. If it was an instructor calling, it would say their name, then the email, username, phone number, location, room, department, right? So over here, I would go to ticket details. And they're calling, oh, let's say Christian here, we call him Chris. He's calling because he's having, oh, I don't know, he called the help desk. What kind of issue was emailed? Then I could just put whatever, right? See all the stuff you can fill out. So let's say I do computer hardware here. There's a bunch of different areas, right? This is just an old one. I'll do computer hardware. So you're reporting computer hardware issue. Please use the drop-down menu about blah, 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 blah. So it can be any one of these issues. Let's say he wants to get a webcam, so, or a computer repair issue, right? Clicks that. Subject, computer repaired. Requires computer in room, blah, 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 blah. Is it working? Cool. Contact name usually gets moved down after it's all filled out here. And then I can set the status to new, assigned, once it's given to somebody, pending, once we work, if we can't really resolve it, give it a minute, we're working on it. Then we have resolved, we're completely done. We never close it. And you're like, well, why won't you close it? Because you have to leave it unresolved in case they reply back within 3 days saying, hey, it isn't fixed. It'll go back to this. And after that, you can resolve it if it's really resolved. If they don't reply in 3 days, it'll automatically close. And that's the metric we have, and that's how we do it. So you can schedule when you want it. It gives us like a week. Let's see. The due date would be next week, 10 days from now. So save an email, it would create it, and that's about it. That's what a basic ticketing system looks like. Pretty neat, huh? Our newer one's a little more in line with industry standards now. I don't like it. It's too many steps to do something, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. We had to upgrade. It's also so we can pull metrics. So yeah, SolarWinds was what I just showed you. That wasn't the free one, that's the paid one. So I made and ticketing web site based, which I showed you, and scalable, kind of user-oriented, easy to use features. Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's not crazy. There's more. The paid ones are one we have. Free trial for 30 days, automated tasks, asset discovery and management, customer feedback features. That's the big thing of what we used to have. The new one, it's all different, which I'm not going to even implement into this because it just did take forever. Then there's Mojo. There's a bunch of different versions. It's free. It's a free version, agent prioritization, ticket monitoring, and it's Google integration, which is kind of cool. You can email to it with it into Google, and you just go that way. There's a couple more. There's Helpdesk. I don't have pictures of them, sadly. It's also free trial version. Customer focus, workflow guidelines, so it can just show you, hey, what's here, then moves to the next thing and next thing. Knowledge-based integration, which is kind of nice. So if you were dealing with something, and let's say the person doesn't know how to duplicate their computer screen, and you have an article about it, you can just link it to them and they'll send it to them, which you'll go that way. Then we have HubSpot Service Hub, another free version, engaging report. So it's more for reporting and message integration. So you can message people directly and can snippets. So it kind of has built-in responses with what it means. So it's not too crazy. Wish I had pictures of it. I don't, sadly. I didn't have the chance to read it up. So yeah, this is just me telling you how to make one, right? I showed you the picture. Request, right? This is what it looks like for them. I showed you what it looked like for me if we did an intake. We do the request, type, subject, location. Then this person here is saying they have application issue with Office Word. Word won't open files. Every time I open a document, Word won't open it. Room number 123, for example. You fill it out, you hit save and continue, and then they'll email you some link back to the ticket. It does usually send one, and that's what it would look like this. Does it make sense so far, guys? Am I going too fast? Is this stuff pretty boring? Any thoughts? Anybody want to share anything? Okay. You click history button top of the page, just save your work. Just for ticket details. Yeah, I know, stuff is dry. I'm sorry. Because it's cold. Updating, you would reply to it. See? That's what it looks like. See the details of the ticket. You can also add additional notes, which we do every day. You would click add notes, type your note, save it, and it would be in yellow. That's what that looks like. So these are all the definitions of what everything is. For tickets, pretty straightforward. Opens new, in progress, it's given to someone, pending an order, ticket for waiting for parts. We do that sometimes too because sometimes I've had motherboards fail, I've had RAM fail, I've had what haven't I had fail? Almost everything. And we don't replace it. We have to call HP because that's who our vendor is, and they send the part. And if it's something beyond a fan, they have their technicians do it, so we're not liable. I don't know why. And then we have to schedule it, so it takes like a week sometimes to get things fixed. Yeah, once it's closed, you can still go back and look at it. Let me pull up my old system, and I'm just going to try to think of one that we have that was closed. You can reopen it from the old closed one. Not gonna, but give me a second. I'll go there. I'll just look up one of my tickets that I put in a while ago. Give me a second here. Search in the database. Yeah, so this one here. So this is a closed one. This is back from July. My computer, he didn't have internet, said notification available. It turned out to be his phone. So how we have it at work is the phone's connected to the wall plate. The phone is the intermediary to the computer and gives it network. All I did was just restart the phone, and then it's closed. But I can always put new, or I can even change status down here. See, cancel, reopen. If I were to type something out, it would go to reopened, but it's unclosed. But that's about it. See, status change result from reopen to resolved. Status change automatically resolved to closed. This was 3 days, 2 days later. Sometimes they can close it too, and you can if it's the same issue and it keeps reappearing. You can make it reopen, but I'm not gonna. There's no point. He's not having the issue if that makes sense. But see, so he was good. Shrink that in case we need it later. Get back into controls here. But yeah, so it just tells you literally what is on the side of it. So canceled. I've had to use canceled before because more during COVID than anything. I'll explain why. So during COVID, right, everyone had to take a laptop home. Everybody had to work at home, right? We went from having in class to literally how we are now, right? Digitally. And people were taking laptops home. And it wound up that the problem wasn't the laptop. It wasn't at work at home. It wasn't fast enough. The router was too old. So they would just think, oh, the laptop isn't working. It's like, no, 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 it's working. Your router's just 6 years old. You got to replace it. So once it's something at home, it's out of our hands. I can't just give them a router from work. I don't have one to give them. It's just that's how it is. They had to call our ISP and go from there. So we would cancel it because I can't fix this. I can't do anything with it. Cancel the work order. So that's about it for those. And then how you prioritize tickets. As the name suggests, priority levels are a structured approach to categories encompass tickets based on their importance. Organize your ticket queue accordingly to them is a smart way to label the efforts and clarity. Clarity? I guess this is clarity. That's weird. Each type of issue. It just depends on who it is, what it is. So let's say you're working at the White House. I'm not picking anybody. You can just say White House in general. And the president can be whoever you want the president to be. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. And they put in a work order. Now, would they take priority over? I don't know. Over the chef in the White House? Who would have priority here? Anybody? Crickets. Wonderful. Well, somebody would have priority, but it actually would depend on the issue. So, what if the chef's printer can't print out a recipe he needs versus, oh, I don't know, the president can't turn on the computer? What would take priority? If people need to eat, I'd say the chef because printing a recipe is I think more important than turning on a computer. I think an aide can walk over and push a button versus, oh, I don't know. We're figuring out why the printer isn't working all of a sudden. Just an example. I can do different ones. Let's see. Let me think. Or how about a CEO? Will a CEO take precedence over, oh, I don't know, an accounting member of the accounting team? the accounting team members' computer's working, but they can't access the database versus the CEO can't connect their phone to the network. Who would be more important, financial asset or the CEO? CEO has a phone non-connected network issue, and then over here in the finance world, they can't access a database.
Well, I don't think you'd want to ignore the CEO, but I think the you'd want to resolve accounting's issue first,
Right? You would tell them, "Hey, I hear
or at
you."
least or at least escalate it and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna take care of the CEO because he's mad," But
Yeah,
we need to
depending
get
where they
this
are
taken
in
care
the
of. Yeah.
building, but yeah, like, hey, yeah, give us a minute. We're working on this finance issue. We'll be with you like in 10 minutes. Okay, cool, whatever, not that big of a deal. Well, I'm going to a meeting, so by later. Cool. As long as you normally hear them out, doesn't matter who it is, they're fine with it because they've been acknowledged, and that usually means okay, they'll get to it. That's usually the best thing you can do. So let's move on. So I know help desk, right? That's all I'm talking about. Establishing ticket priorities helps organize, set predefined criteria for an incident categorization, make it easy for helpless agents to know how to act as soon as they see a label. So it depends on what the issues are. It could be printer issues, it could be computer issues, network issues. You just have to figure out what takes precedence. Usually, network issues affect more than one person. Sometimes computer issues affect only 1 to 2 people. So you would figure out what goes where, who takes what. And print issues can affect the whole office, or they can affect just one person. Without seeing the actual content of the ticket, they can choose what to deal with first and understand the effort it will take to solve them. Sorry. Including a priority level matrix in your service desk standards operating procedure contributes to the following. Enhances efficiency by ensuring IT support teams are not overwhelmed by the influx of tickets and can focus on tasks with the most significant impact on the organization. Normally, a network issue would be the biggest thing, probably. Ensures service level agreements, who does what. Improving resource allocations, just tools. Prevent major problems from causing severe inconvenience or disruptions, boosting customer service satisfaction since issues are correctly handled, minimizing downtime. Yeah, downtime is your biggest enemy. So again, back to when the whole Amazon issue happened, half of our stuff wasn't working. So it's like, okay, we just have to wait like everybody else. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we don't work for Amazon, guys. So I'm just gonna sit here and cross my arms like you guys are and just wait till they resolve it. Once it's back up and running, you had canvas back and everything else back. Till then, it's like, sorry, guys want to do offsite. It's what it is. So that's what the matrix looks like. It's pretty straightforward, right? Nothing looks too crazy. So let's say you have a high system-wide, thing that's impacting something, but it's only impacting a couple people. You can do a workaround. It's high, but not critical. But it's low. Let's say it's a high issue, like they can't connect to, let's say, an FTP site, but it's only affecting like one person. That's pretty low, I would argue. But let's say they're like the head of that department. Okay, it's kind of somewhat important. Medium multiple users, but it can be like really low and conveniently they can't. Oh, I don't know. They can't send make me a coffee to the Keurig machine down the hallway. That's life or death, right? Because everybody runs on coffee wherever I work. I'm kidding. What would be low? Low, like super low. My mouse isn't working. That's pretty like eh. Here's a new one. Give us like 10 minutes. We'll run it over an hour because you can be dealing with other things. So that's what the matrix looks like. You probably get some questions on it in the final. So, best practice to establish priority levels. So, implement a tiered structure, which you saw back there. Create a tickets triage process, which you've heard me talk about triage. It's just a step-by-step approach to resolve issues and use it to configure realistic service level agreements. Build custom ticket submission forms, which is what we have. You don't really do that anymore. Technically, it's all now integrated. You can modify the modules and what they look like. Provide knowledge base. That is something you don't give out. That's more for you, the team to have. So, if we have like a big recurring issue and one of us solves it, we write down the steps we took. For example, we were upgrading from Windows 10 to 11 on some older machines that could take 11, but we had to image them back in the day differently. We would have to have them launch without secure boot, so we'd have to launch what's called legacy mode. Well, as you know, Windows 11 needs secure boot, right? Well, we would have to take the partition of the hard drive, the C drive, convert it from GDP to MBR, or my backwards, I forget which one it is. We had to run a command to do it once and verify after, and then we can launch the Windows 11 after the update, or would start the update after. So it was things like that we had to work around. And yes, we made an article about it. And yes, I haven't saved it because people ask about it. I just give them, hey, do you remember how to do this? I'm like, here, just give them an article, screenshots, and lists, and then you're ready to roll and you're done. It saves you time versus having to explain it every 5 minutes of how it's done. So you have to consider user feedback too. Yes, that's important. Sometimes customers can reply back saying, "Hey, this was solved, but they could have done it differently," or "Hey, I discovered this on top of it." Then that's something all differently together. Review and adjust us SOPs. So we don't deal with SOPs that often. It's pretty rare, but it's just a standard operating procedure. It's essentially how things are done, and you have it written down. So let's take a break. We're about, what time is it? 6:45. I'd say 45. We'll come back at 6:55. Sound good? Take a bio break, grab some water. Then from there, we'll jump into the rest of it. We're kind of almost done because we're going to do FAQs next. Sound good, guys? All right. See you in a bit. All right. Everybody back? Do you go rolling silence as a yes? All right. So what's next? FAQs. So frequently asked questions. What are some common questions you guys get asked about technology? Think about that. What would you say some common questions are? Other than why isn't it working? How did you do what you did? I'm like, yeah, okay. That's a pretty common one. Why is it slow? Mhm. How do I do XYZ right? Why doesn't it do this? Why doesn't it do that? Yeah. So frequently asked questions, free FAQs, frequently asked questions list is often used in articles, websites, email lists, and online forums where common questions tend to reoccur. For example, through posts or queries by new users related to common knowledge gap. So it's pretty straightforward what an FAQ is, right? They're important. Why? Because it's accessibility. Links on FAQ page guide users through your website, helping them find the information they need anytime. So this is more for help desk, for how do I reset my password? How do I submit a request for like XYZ reason? So you need an event form or borrow a laptop or purchase a laptop, purchase computers, like things like that. So accuracy. The FAQ page should be a single source of truth, offering customers answers to general questions. That's essentially what it's for. So you can kind of tone down the repetitive questions of how do I do XYZ or get XYZ or buy XYZ. That's what FAQs for. Like here's a link. When customers can get answers themselves, they don't have to rely on help desk agents. This ultimately lowers payroll costs. I mean, that's true. It's more to lighten your load than anything else. Because basic questions can usually be answered with a simple sentence, right? Or a yes or a no. So, what FAQs or FAQ pages include? The FAQ section or pages needs to be constantly updated and improved and typically includes the following elements. Common questions. As the name suggests, it's all about simple questions and answers. Gather common questions your customers have asked from your support team and include them in an FAQ. How do I turn on my computer? How do I access my email? Things like that. Short and clear answers. Short and precise questions and answers to make it easier for customers to read through the FAQ. You don't want to make it a novel, guys, because if it's a novel and a wall of text, by the third sentence, I guarantee you've lost the person. So categories or sections. Use of categories to organize questions based on specific topics. So computer questions, mouse questions, desktop questions, internet questions. What's the other one? Printer questions, email questions, things like that. Oh, it's an email show. Click on email, and you can dive into whatever they need in there. Accordions, you don't really use those anymore. FAQ pages usually use accordions to avoid making extra long web pages. Accordions, I'm not talking about the squeeze boxes from Ramon Ayala. Okay, I'm not talking about that. This is just a different kind of file format or a page format. Search bar, that's pretty common. They can usually search what they need for. And their large FAQ sites or knowledge bases include a search bar so users can find answers more quickly. So they can just type in what they're looking for and can filter it out. Hint, hint, here's where AI helps you too. It suggests things. So, let's make sure this is recording. Yeah, we're good. So, links to related resources or you can find inside FAQs, visual aids. Sometimes a picture usually helps, right? Usually highlighted. Let me find an FAQ from work. Give me a second and I'll show you what I mean. Oopsie doodle. Yeah, here's a single sign on FAQ. Check this out. So they're all down here. This is what our FAQ looks like. Okay, here's other things we can do, like multi-factor authentication, troubleshooting, password troubleshooting, account lockout troubleshooting. So what is SSO? How will SSO benefit me? And it's all just made into a talk table of contents here. Student FAQs, new students, and these are the common things, right? That they run into like that. Yes, you're gonna make an FAQ. Don't worry, I don't want anything crazy. General student questions, things like that. Staff and faculty FAQs are different. So that just gets into the meat and potatoes of what it is. It's pretty straightforward stuff. It can be dry. I'm sorry. This isn't so entertaining like our usual nightly Windows references and all that jazz we usually deal with. But we got to cover it. It's kind of helpful. Give you more of an insight. So contact information, yeah, it's usually in there too. Multiple questions. It's all in there. You just saw it, and it's pretty simple to follow, right? You just scroll down and can go through it. But the table of contents is there so they can click on it. There's no search bar though, because I feel like it might get a little messy. That's how I designed it though. I didn't do it. So here's the Adobe Creative Cloud one. This is what their FAQ looks like. This is the big things that they cover, right? I just did that one a while ago because it's Adobe. Pretty simple. Adobe company well known for its powerful design and editing products, right? What doesn't Adobe make? Photoshop, or does make rather. Photoshop, InDesign, Elements, or you name it. Dreamweaver. What's another one? Uh, their PDF software, which I can't stand most of the time. That's what they have in here. They have a search bar right here, right? You can search there. Sidebar menu, which is all here, which would be the table of contents in that regard. Set of commonly asked questions separated by categories. That's all in here. So general frequently asked questions. The FAQ by plan. That's for people that pay. So licenses for education, things like that. Virtual assistant would be this guy here down in the bottom corner. And Adobe ends page by requesting reader feedback. So yeah, they ask you to tell them, hey, well, let's we make it better. So that's how theirs looks like. Pretty straightforward. So now we jump to knowledge base. Knowledge base is just articles, guys. That's all it really is. So a knowledge base is a digital library of information about a company's products, services, or industry-related topics. Knowledge bases can either be internal or external to serve employees or customers respectively. Depending on what you do for work, knowledge bases usually are external, not in my area, because it's a lot of computer gobbledygook that people won't get, and it's kept that way for a reason, and we don't share it unless we need to look something up. That's what it's for. How a knowledge base works. A knowledge base operates as a central library of organized information within a business, working to streamline the process of collecting, storing, and distributing knowledge. So, like for example, I mentioned earlier about the Windows 11 upgrade, having to modify the hard drive partitions. I made a small knowledge base article with pictures, highlights, and like, hey, here's what you do. Here's the next step. Here's what it looks like. Bada bing, bada boom. You reach this point, you're good to go, and that's it. So, again, I don't have to constantly remind people how to do it when they need to do it. It's there in the knowledge article. I can just send it or point them to it in the link, and they're ready to roll if they ask for help. By offering a user-friendly interface and a systematic approach to storing data, a knowledge management system ensures that information is well organized and easily accessible. Ours is in a folder, which is categories. I'm not going to show it to you because it's not worth it, to be honest with you. It looks like a plain old manila folder on your computer. But ours is on our server. That's about it. This promotes effective decision making, faster problem solving, and enhanced productivity across the organization. It just saves you time, essentially. That's what it usually does. If it's something you run into a lot and you have an article about it, here's the steps that'll solve it. Pretty straightforward. So, for example, if we had an article on, oh, I don't know, because printers are fun, right? Printer jams. How do you fix them? Pull the paper out, take it apart, where to look, things like that. If you had an article like that, you sent it to somebody that was like, you know what, I'll try it. Do you think they could solve the printer jam by themselves without having you do it? What do you guys think? Yeah, probably. Some people are adventurous like that. Usually, I've seen paper jams where it's like this tiny piece of paper is stuck under the roller and it's triggering it, and that's it. Yeah, they can't fish it out normally because they don't see it, but true, they might make it worse in the process. That has happened. The horrors. If you've seen Apocalypse Now, you know where I'm referencing that. So, components of a knowledge base. What makes it up? Knowledge base should have several essential components that collectively enhance its function. Free knowledge base software. We don't use software, but you can have more basic tools and its paid counterparts. Most will include a search bar. Yeah, ours is category. Ours is more of a manual knowledge base, if that makes sense. It's categorized, so hardware, software, network, things like that. Editing tools, we use Word documents, guys. That's something crazy. More advanced solutions model for AI-powered content suggestion. So For AI integration, it's pretty nice because you can go like, yeah, I need something related to this and this. So I need something related to printers, but it's also involving networking. It can suggest something like, oh, have you checked here's the queue FAQ, here's the creation of server queues on the server FAQ, things like that, or articles rather. And you can kind of point you in the right direction. So things you can find your answer in there sometimes too. Also, having a library of books, believe it or not, helps. I have a collection of hardware books and software books that are pretty, quote, outdated and old, but sometimes they have more useful information than relevant books, believe it or not. They have some commands that we don't have or use often anymore. They're buried in there. They can save your butt. That's also something that would be considered for a knowledge base. It's a physical knowledge that's separate. So if you can't reference it there, you reference it digitally or vice versa. So generative AI can help agents write new articles. Yeah, they can expand on existing content or change the tone of an article. Yeah, that's normally if you want to make it outside facing, though. Internal facing, it's pretty straightforward. Analytics or reporting reports can reveal page views, common search terms, and which articles get the most engagement. Yeah, that's all built in. You can have that if you have software. These components can create a structured and efficient solution for knowledge storage and retrieval. Not too bad, guys. 9 more slides, I promise. So internal and external, it's pretty straightforward, right? It's primarily intended if it's internal for an organization's employees, internal stakeholders includes HR policies, training manuals, training documentation, and best practices. Internal knowledge bases can streamline employee onboarding, facilitate quick access to critical data, and ensure consistency in processes and procedures. External knowledge bases are for customers, okay? Clients and general public. We don't have one that's external. I'm sorry. They provide information about product, services, or industry related topics. I feel like the Amazon. Sorry, probably thinking about something. The Adobe one would probably be the best. FAQ is more of a knowledge base, to be frank. They provide information about products, services, or industry-related topics, and often include frequently asked questions, troubleshooting guides, user manuals. I'm not thinking about cars, manuals, and helpful articles. External knowledge bases can empower users to find solutions to common problems independently, reducing the load on customer support teams. And there's just a quick widget of what they look like. Internal knowledge base targets employees and stakeholders. So, like, you guys work at a corporation or whatnot, you have an internal one, reduces the volume of employee support inquiries, the single source of truth for company best practices. External targets customers and general public, reduces the volume of customer support inquiries, the single source of truth for products or services. Again, the Adobe one's like the perfect example of that. So let's keep going. What is the purpose of a knowledge base? A knowledge base serves different purposes depending on whether customers or employees use it. External knowledge bases primarily serve customers that provide them with automated support. Chatbots can pull answers from knowledge base articles or surface articles for customers. I guess it can. Sorry, self-serve options. Customers can find answers on their own without reaching out to customer support. Yeah, that's why you point them to the FAQ or the knowledge base. Efficient information retrieval. Content is well organized and easily searchable. Internal knowledge bases serve many of the same purposes for employees with the added benefit of improving employee productivity. Agents can quickly find answers and providing assistance. Yeah, I've had to reference manuals in a knowledge base before. Be like, oh, it's in this page, yada, yada, yada. Here's what you do. Problem where it's solved, ready to go. Enhanced decision making. Employees can reference a single source of truth without needing to wait on input from their managers. Yeah. Sometimes the clarification is in there when you need it. So, knowledge bases continued. Benefits of using a knowledge base. Knowledge bases offer invaluable assets to businesses that help them transform the way they support customers and employees for onboarding to service they receive. So, yeah, it's easier for onboarding, faster issue resolution, and better team alignment. It just makes you more efficient, really. Knowledge bases aren't bad. So, let's talk about AI. AI has been the hot craze, right, guys? Now, have you seen there's AI boot camps now? Which kind of makes me laugh. I mean, what has AI changed? Let's face it. I think I'm sure it's even changed my cup of coffee at this point, right? AI this, AI that. Have you guys gone to the drive-throughs yet with AI? I mean, it's not in my milk yet, so I don't think it's everything, Chase. It's all about the prompts. In reality, AI at the end of the day is just a gigantic database that's pretty efficient, but I won't get into it.
My my buddy's a HVAC tech, but he does like industrial.
Mhm.
And he used he fed the PDFs of a boiler that they were working to it, and then like gave a big old prompt. And then they originally thought it was going to be a 4 week job, and then they got it done in 8 days because the AI went through and was like, it's one of these three things, and he knew it wasn't. He knew it was one of two. So it ended up being the first one that they tried, and it was like so it was like a 100-story building boiler or something like that.
That's
Yeah,
cool. But see,
yeah.
that's, in my opinion, a good use of AI. It's not going to replace him.
Yeah, exactly. They still got to do the work, you know?
So I have mentioned this. I don't know if you guys have already mentioned it, but AI is not going to take over the world, right? You all seen Terminator, pour a cup of water on the computer, you're fine. Um, in reality, my coworkers and I have had this discussion many times that, oh, AI is going to take our jobs. I'm like, no, it's not. Who's going to fix the computer? Well, they'll make a computer to fix itself. But who's going to fix the computer? It needs to fix the computer that fixes itself. You still got to have the human element in it. And as long as AI or robotics doesn't violate the three Antonov laws of robotics and artificial intelligence, you're fine. Unless someone's having a bad day, don't let them near that machine when they make something. But artificial intelligence is making the world a better place for businesses and customers. Like, yeah, AI's helped. I mean, I admit it. It streamlines our day, it makes it easier, right? Whether it's sales, marketing, HR's touched, it's AI's touched almost everything. It's not going to replace. Yes, AI is still done without a prompt. I don't think it's going to replace waiters anytime soon or people working and making food. It's still got to have the human element. A robot can't really make your food as good as a person, can it? Maybe, but can it customize it the way a human does, or make it with air quotes, love, right? That kind of deal. That's a slogan of a company, and then they have a robot making it. Isn't that false advertising? The things you got to think about. The role of AI in augmented knowledge processes has been immense. Yeah, it's made it simpler. For teams around the world, AI for Helpdesk has proven to be nothing short of a miracle. So in terms for Helpdesk, it's more used for intake. If they remove the person out of it, and it'll just help them streamline the process and make it faster, which is great. But again, people still want to talk to somebody, right? It's you got to have the human reaction. Have you guys ever seen the video of the automated drive-through for a Taco Bell and somebody orders 1,000 cups of water? Want to know what it did? It broke it. No, it broke the eye. It couldn't handle that request. It didn't know what to do. So all right, give us a minute. We'll hand you to a person. They handed him to a live person. Did it? I don't know. The one I saw did it. It was pretty interesting. It helped businesses avoid repetitive tasks, enhance productivity, offer 24/7 support, and delight customers with personalized interactions. Yeah, yeah. I mean, AI is not bad, guys, but it's not the end all be all. Like, for example, for the farmers and everyone picking crops and planting share crops, how can AI help them? Think about it. How? Can it make them pick faster? Can it make them use drones for irrigation or things like that? Maybe for mapping the terrain, sure, and identifying what's ripe and what isn't. Maybe I could see AI doing that. Planning, yeah. But can it replace the human element? Be really thoughtful about it. I don't think it can personally, but that's just my thought. For example, AI in the form of virtual assistants has taken a lot of pressure off agents' shoulders, giving them more time to focus on other urgent tasks. Yes, the actual act of planting and picking fruit, vegetables. I know thresher machines use AI now to identify things in the crops, which is pretty cool. But that's just for giant grain harvesting. But I'm talking like physical planting, like strawberries. What's another one? Almond trees, apples, things like that. Can AI replace all that? Can it replace the people doing all that work? That's my question. Maybe in the boxing portion of it, to be honest with you, they can really automate that. But I don't think in bundling and wrapping them in a, in with rubber bands when they do for strawberries or what's the other ones? Potatoes, carrots, making bushels. I don't think AI can take over that easily. But that's just me. So AI is also helping support teams for automated routing, prioritizing the categories and help desk tickets. Yeah, I mean AI helps you in that regard. That's true. Give us some. We'll be done soon, guys. Don't worry. So, customer intent analysis using AI, using NLP and machine learning. I forgot what NLP stands for. It's not that important for our purposes. To interpret customer inquiries, identifying incidents such as technical issues, billing, or product-related questions, summarizes lengthy complaints for easier understanding, enabling agents to prioritize issues effectively, continuously learns from interaction, improving accuracy, reducing manual sorting. I mean, I see AI do some pretty dumb stuff, so yeah, for intake, I can see it being helpful. But AI-powered response suggestions, that's the one that's more common. Remember when Cortana was supposed to be this big new thing and it just crashed and burned? And then they wound up removing it from Windows, pretty much? Yeah, that didn't pan out. So AI-powered response suggestions offers real-time response suggestions based on historical data and inquiry context. You have to have a big knowledge base behind that one. Ensures consistent and effective answers for common issues, escalates complex cases to agents, refines suggestions over time, boosting efficiency and customer satisfaction. So, like you said, Chase, this is where it was scanning the manual and it just provided these three things. That's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. 24/7 support with AI chatbots. AI chatbots provide round-the-clock assistance managing queries when agents are available and enjoying ML and NLP for intelligent responses. Machine learning, I forgot what NLP is off the top of my head, guys. I'm so sorry. And can use text to speech for enhanced communication, automatically identifies keywords to share smart responses or initiate follow-up actions. So how can AI help? So knowledge-based article sharing, AI can suggest relevant knowledge-based articles those referring to. So customers based on search words, reducing ticket volume when it's enhancing self-service experiences, ensuring customers can connect with an agent if automated suggestions are insufficient. Customer feedbacks, systemic analyzes customer reviews, surveys, so it can just pull out negative, positive, neutral, and just generate metrics. Assigns systemic stores, yeah, the feedback for deeper insights into customer satisfaction helps to ensure its unique customer needs, enhance loyalty and trust. Ticket routing categorization, yeah, I mean you can do that, but it's not that efficient. Automatically routes tickets to relevant team members and tags them for better operation. Judges issue severity to prioritize tickets. Enable agents to focus on critical tasks. I mean, yeah, I get it, but no. It enhances interactive voice responsive, automated routine calls, and prioritizes high empathy interactions, reduces call hold times by routing complex queries to agents, lowers costs while maintaining customer satisfaction during peak call volumes. Yeah, it can handle that pretty well. But AI is here to stay, guys. It's not going anywhere. So agent assistant support agents with real-time transcription takes reminders, task reminders, and resource searches, provides context-aware help articles, reduces time spent on manual search research, it improves decision making and helps agents avoid solid breaches. Yeah, I mean, it can do that. I've seen it do that. It's pretty useful. Customer purchase assistance. AI chatbots guide customers to making better decisions, ministers responses and recommendations, leverages browsing and purchase history for personalized suggestions, reduces returns and complaints caused on mismatched purchases. That's more of a retail thing. So you guys know what Best Buy is, right? They have a chatbot that can suggest what to buy. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of like that. Predictive Insight uses predictive analysis to forecast trends and understand customer behavior, identify higher risk customers, and suggest strategies to retain them, customizes support processes for more personalized customer experience. So it can tailor things and, if it identifies peak around this time, you're getting a bunch of these requests. So I can prioritize these requests versus these requests, things like that. So it'll learn how to do that, which is pretty neat. So what are the benefits of having AI integrated in Helpdesk? 24/7 availability, operates around the clock, providing customer support and improving customer satisfaction, limits the need for human agents to be present at all times. Yeah, it can do most of the overnight work by assigning it, but it still has to have someone physically there to do it, if that makes sense. Faster response times, instantly handles common queries, reducing wait times for customers, frees human agents to focus on resolving more complex issues. Cost efficiency, automates routine tasks, reduces the need for a large support team, lowers operating costs while maintaining high quality service. Scalability, simultaneously manages unlimited queries, enabling business to scale operations effortlessly, ensures service quality is maintained during demand surges. Consistency, delivers uniform responses, ensuring customer receive accurate information every time, reduces variable and service qualities. So this is the last slide, guys. So it offers multi-language support. So yeah, AI is pretty good at that. I've seen it work, just translates to Spanish, German, French pretty quickly and pretty efficiently. Personalization analyzes customer history and preferences to personalize, provide tailored responses. Yeah, has a customer loyalty to personalized interactions. Data collection and insights. It can gather data and analyze customer data to uncover trends and insights. Helps improve product services and support strategies. Integration with other systems. It can integrate with CRM tools, ticketing software, knowledge. Yeah, it's all built in now in that regard. Reduces human error, minimizes mistakes by following predefined rules and learning from data patterns. Yeah, but AI can still be dumb, right? We've all seen that. Improves reliability in repetitive tasks and processes. So, guys, that's all that I really had for tonight. But before I let you guys go, let's talk about this week's assignments. Does that sound pretty fair? Because we're not going to meet this Thursday. I'm still going to have office hours on Friday morning. If you need help, I'm still going to be here. But next week, guys, we do not meet. Okay. I'm not here all week. I'm up in Oregon, pretty much by Olympia, Washington in reality. But I'm up that route. I'm up in the north, hanging out with my family. And here's the thing. I'm still going to have class, but I'm not here, right? So what are we going to do? It'll be pre-recorded. You'll have slides, and you will have another research assignment like this one. That sounds pretty fair, pretty easy. You do it at your own pace. Just remember, the midterm is due the 29th. So you got some time. If one of you has done it already, and I haven't graded it, don't freak out when you finish the midterm. Let's just say 20%. Don't freak out, okay? There's a lot of short answer ones that I have to go through and read. And, if it matches up with it, the questions asked and make sense, you get your points. So just sit tight while I do that when I get back. So, or I might grade over the weekend, so depending on how I feel and if I have time. So let me bring up the work for this week since we ain't having lab. So don't show up Thursday. I'm not going to be here. You've been warned. Yeah, that's who
That this
actually
Thursday, Professor, or next Thursday? I'm
this
sorry.
Thursday. That's okay. Next week's Thanksgiving. I'm flying in actually Friday morning because the funeral's gonna be Friday. So I have a packed week coming up. So this is Unit 4 on there. Damn it, I gotta fix that. It should say Unit 5. Don't worry, guys. I'll fix it before I leave. That's one assignment. You can download a PDF, and it's pretty straightforward. But here's what it looks like. Yours is do some research for me. It's just for you guys, so you can get an idea what else is out there. Same thing for the FAQ one. Ever bloody loads, that'd be nice. If not, let me download it. Processing. Process nothing. There's this, there's that. Give me a window and let me open them and then we'll go over it briefly. I don't want the extension. Damn it. Gotta love it. Let me use my awesome professional license for this because Adobe's a pain in the tuchus. So this is pretty straightforward, guys. This is all you have to do. The instructions are there. You're just gonna be given scenarios essentially. What you do. It's 5 to 10. It's 10 scenarios. You gotta do five, if I remember right. Something like that. It's pretty straightforward. You're just writing it. Oh, it's 10 scenarios. My bad. But they're pretty straightforward scenarios. Like, for example, server won't restart. Server's actually shut down. How would you troubleshoot it? How would you communicate that in the ticket? Can someone give me a quick example? At least it's pretty straightforward. Anybody? So no one can tell me how they would make a server restart without it being because it's stuck. That one won't restart at all. Anybody?
Turn it off and on.
Okay, that's
Mm.
yes. But how would you explain that to somebody? Like, hey, I have to do this. Sit tight, yada yada. I think just things like that. Does that make sense? What I'm looking for, or is it clear as mud? Yeah. So you're just gonna answer stuff. That's all you're gonna do. It's nothing too crazy. Some of these are actually based off things I ran into, like this one here. Server's CPU usage is currently maxed out, so now all hosted applications. Ooh, how would you tell someone you're gonna fix this? Let me look into it. What would you check? What would you try? Things like that. That's the help desk one. It's pretty simple. Just a bunch of just scenarios. Just pick 10 and do them and submit it. It's a Word document. That and remember, you have to keep customer service in mind. I even tell you up here what you have to do. If this doesn't make sense, I'll clarify more. That's okay. I can redo this. Da-da-da-da. Correct. But you summarize the situation, explain how it was resolved, include a link to the where you got the idea from, and 100, 250 words per sentence. Just do 100 words. You don't do a million. It's fine. I don't want you guys going nuts. But you're gonna be working like if you were a help desk technician. How would you solve this problem? Essentially, that's all. Just you remember you're talking to somebody about it, or trying to figure it out. The other one, the other one's a little more straightforward. FAQ assignment. Bloody hell, I meant to that. You're gonna make an FAQ. Here's the topics you got to cover. It's pretty simple. It's nothing crazy. You can use diagrams or tables. I don't really care. You can use two FAQs as a reference, and then you can build it off that. But, this is what your FAQ must include. Make sense? Nothing too nuts. 10 to 12 questions. Just do 10. I don't really care. Don't do anything less than 10. But it's just for you guys can get an idea what it's like to write an FAQ. FAQs are pretty simple. Does anybody have any questions for me before we end for tonight? Is anybody still having server problems? Yes, so Lindsay, you're muted. I saw.
I have a question from last week. I had posted to the Discord asking a question about one of the screenshots. Microsoft Network Server Policy screenshot.
You know what?
I
I haven't had a chance to look at the Discord, guys. I'm so sorry. I've been busy dealing with all this.
no, I totally understand. I'm just a little confused about what that is. Is that just in the group policy screenshot in general, or was there a particular section in group policy you want a screenshot for that?
It's the policy in general. Now I think about it. That's all.
So just a screenshot of the
Yeah. If I'm not specific, just it's assume it's just the general policy or the general item. But I don't literally tell you do this specifically. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, that was my one last hang up for that assignment.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thanks.
Mhm. Anybody else? Okay, I will take that as no. Y'all got nothing to add. You're right. No meeting next week at all because I'm not here. And really, no meeting this Thursday because you have just research to do. I don't, there's nothing we're going to do on server related this week or next week. So your servers can take a break. Your VMs can take a break. If you still need time to catch up, I would suggest you use that time wisely. Yes, but keep in mind the midterms due the 29th, guys. My suggestion is get it done before Thursday just to get it knocked down, be out of the way. Being very honest. Betsy, how hard was the midterm? Sorry for putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad. Like you said, I panicked when I said I got 20 out of everything.
Yeah, but it's just a bunch of it's just short answers and multiple choice and some true and false. I don't make
It
it too
was it was a free form text answer to the best of your ability.
and you don't think it's super technical. As long as you can make your point, you're fine usually. So I
Yeah,
have to go through it. But yeah, no class Thursday pretty much, no class next week. So still office hours this Friday though, so I'll be there digitally. Um, if nobody has any questions, everyone feels you're ready and stuff's there for you ready to go. So have at it. Get to it.
well, real quick before we go, when are these assignments from this Thursday due? Is it the like when we come back, like on after Thanksgiving?
I put the 30th, that's Sunday.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see it. I see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's pretty much when's the last week? Is it the first week of December?
Uh,
I
no,
forget.
I thought it was the 12th.
Is it the 12th? Okay. So yeah, then next week, no lecture. Digital lecture, right? Async lecture. We come back that week, we're gonna have a lecture. So it's the first week of December. And after that, eighth week could just be a final. So don't worry about a lecture for the eighth week. There's no point. You guys have a bunch of other stuff to do. I get it.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. So let me stop recording here.